Hi everyone, I wanted to give a short introduction to Google Docs, simply showing you the layout of the Google Docs interface. There are so many tutorials, directions, PDFs, introductions to Google Docs available online, some of which I've linked to in the classroom, that it seems silly to reinvent the wheel and go through every little detail of how you could use Google Docs for your personal productivity or in your classroom. So what I want to do is just, in this video, is kind of give a overall summary of what you will find somewhere on the screen, so that when they talk about that in the videos that I have linked to, you'll have an idea of where to look. So right now I am in my Google Drive. If I click over here at New, and I click on Google Docs, that is the way I'm going to get to a Google Doc. Google Docs in the past, years ago, used to refer to the entire suite of programs here, but it no longer does that. Google Docs is now referring to simply the word processing. So some of the videos might be old enough that they refer it back still to the entire Google Drive items. So I'm going to get rid of this because that's from last video. Up here at the top you'll see Untitled Document. So that's where I'm going to come up here and name my document. And it automatically saves for me every 5 seconds in Google Docs. So that's a nice feature to keep you from losing your information. So in here I have all of the basic buttons that you would find in Microsoft Word, which I'm assuming 99.9% of the people watching this have used. So I'm not going to go over any of those, except to say that the undo button is my favorite button on the planet, and it has saved me many hours of having to redo stuff. Maybe not hours, that might be a slight exaggeration. So that is always a good button to point out to your students, that they can undo if things all of a sudden disappear. If they click undo, a lot of times they will come back. All right, the words across the top, I'm simply going to go through the ones that I use the most, because I assume that maybe those are the same ones that other people would use the most. So under File, I can move this to trash if I decide I do not want this anymore right inside the document. And I can move to folder. So in my Google Drive, if I'm trying to stay really organized, I can move it to any folder I want right in there. Revision history is a fantastic tool, and it will not be effective in the document we're looking at right now because I have really done nothing. But you will hear this mentioned in, I know it's mentioned in one of the articles I've linked to. And I've seen it in science fair, so I'll give that as an example. So science fair write-ups are done over months of time. So a student will come into the library and they'll say, hey, this picture I had in here, my graph, it's gone. It was here the other day and now it's gone. We can open the revision history, and I'll open it. Mine's not going to be very extensive. And you can see periods of time back over here on the right. And if you wanted even more details, again, mine's not going to have much. I don't have anything. Down here, you can check to have even more of the revision history. And you can go back in time and find that missing picture, and you can revert back to that day, but most likely that student has done work since then. So you find that old revision and you copy that picture, and then you go back to the current time and you paste it in, and it is a great way to save your lots of work that may have been lost somewhere. And especially in a collaborative environment, if you have more than one student with their hands in here, there's a good chance that at some point someone else's stuff is going to get deleted, hopefully by accident. Maybe occasionally intentionally, but you can always get it back with that revision history. Download as, if you have someone who insists something has to be turned in as Word, or you want it to be in a PDF so nobody else can mess with it, you can always download your Google document in a different format. Publish to the web is kind of a hidden gem there. It will publish your document as if it were a web page. So, for example, at the middle school, our student announcements are done in a Google Doc that has been published to the web with that link attached to our website. So every time the office updates our student announcements, that web page automatically gets updated. So it's a great, simple way to make a website. If we're working on this with other people, email collaborators is a great tool. So during testing, if I update testing groups, I can just email the collaborators and say, hey, I've updated this if you want to take a look. All right. A lot of these buttons repeat what these buttons are, so I am going to skip over some of this. Okay, so under insert image is obviously going to be a huge one. There are page breaks, footers, headers are also in here, which definitely do have a use, horizontal line. But image is probably going to be the one that most of students and teachers would use on a regular basis. So you can search for an image right here in insert image. So let's see, my daughter insisted she wants to be an elephant next year for Halloween, and since it's close to Halloween, I can find a picture of an elephant, figure out how I'm going to make that costume. All right, but I'm going to select it, and it should go ahead and insert it for me. Alrighty, so that is insert. Format does have line spacing in there. If you forget that this is line spacing up here, that's a big one when you're trying to format for a certain teacher who insists they want the formatting a certain way. Under tools, this is a neat area. Spelling is under there. Obviously, spelling is a great tool. Research. If you click on research over here on the right, you'll see a research bar typed up. That was what I had on earlier, and I turned it off. So let's say I once again want to look up elephant. I can click in elephant, and I get pictures, and I get some basic information. Yours might look a little different over here the first time you go in. It'll give you choices, which are these. You can search anything. You could just search everything. You can search for images. You could search just for quotes, the dictionary. So that research tool is nice to have everything embedded right in there. Voice typing is a relatively new feature, and this is great for those that need it. So notice as I'm talking now, because I have enabled my microphone, it is typing this for me. I wish you could see my hands are not on the keyboard. They really aren't. It is typing it as I talk, period. So that voice-to-text feature is a nice for students who have an accommodation that requires it, but it's also nice for those that maybe just don't type very fast and need to get it done. And they can type, it turns into text, but the student will still have to proofread because things don't always type the way you say them. And so they still are having to do a lot of the same work. They're just, their keyboarding skills aren't advanced. It's giving them a little bit of help. Inserting tables is a great way to format your page if you have never used tables before. This is another big thing that you'll hear talked about in some of the tutorials are these add-ons. So right now you may have no add-ons or you may have some add-ons. But add-ons are things that can make Google Docs have a lot of the same functions that that Microsoft Word has. So Hello Fax is a great one. It lets you create this, and I could fax this picture of an elephant to anyone I want. I think you get 5 free faxes a month, which is plenty for me. I don't fax a whole lot, but any document you have in your Google Docs you can fax. Hello Sign lets you electronically sign documents. Open Clip Art, just what it sounds like. It gives me a whole clip art gallery of pictures I know that I can use. Thesaurus, because I love thesauruses, you can there's a translate option where it can translate to different languages. If I were to click on any of these, the interface to get them to work comes over here on the right. Let me try one. Let's do search clip art. And we should over here see a change to the clip art. So add-ons are great. To get any add-ons, you go to get add-ons, and there is a whole gallery of add-ons. Mine that I have put on there is just the tip of the iceberg. So there are plenty of add-ons you can add. The nice thing too is I don't add them to this document specifically. I may add it today because this is the document I'm in, but from now on, any Google document that I am in will have that add-on already installed. So you're actually adding it on to your whole Google Doc program, not just this one document. Okay, comments are great. So with comments, if I'm just the only one in this document right now, but if I were to highlight something and go up to comments, I can click on comment and I can insert a comment over here. So if I had a collaborator, I would want them to see that. Or I could put a reminder to myself and say, is this really the best way to phrase this? So then I can come back. It can be a reminder for me, or the person that I am collaborating with on this document might reply back. They can resolve. Either one of us can resolve it. So it's a good way to get suggestions without people actually modifying your document itself. I do this with my children's papers all the time, or if I'm working with the other ITRTs, we a lot of times will just give suggestions this way. The last I'm going to get rid of this research so we have a little more room here. So sharing, obviously a fantastic feature in any of these Google Drive options is the share feature for the collaboration aspect. You know, if I were to share a Word document, only one person can work on a Word document at a time. So if I were to share it with 5 other people, each one of them is going to do their update, and then you have 5 different copies of it. With this, everybody's working in the same document, so you end up with one copy at the end, and you know it's the final best copy. It's the most recent one. So there's a few ways to share your document. Right now, if I were to type someone's name in, I would be giving them permission to edit. I can give them only permission to comment, which is what I did before, or I can just give them permission to view, which means they can look at it, but they can't really do anything else. They can make a copy. So if I were to send it to students, maybe I'd want them to do that. If I make a worksheet and I put can view and then I give everyone the link to my worksheet, they can each make their own copy of it. So that is a good feature with the can view. Right here, advanced, it's really small, but if you click on it, there are definitely more options. Right now, it's just private. I haven't shared it with anybody. But I can change that. So I can make it public on the web where people can search for it. I can make anyone with the link can access it, which is what I tend to do if I'm sharing things with students or with faculty. Turn it off. I can do anyone with Louisa County Public Schools. Now you have to remember we're on 2 domains here, so that won't share it with students. This forces a login for people to see the document, but the students have their own domain. So this is letting only teachers be able to log in and see it, or anyone with our adult side Google accounts. All right, I'm going to hit cancel there. So down here, these are relatively new, and I'll be honest, I have not used them. Prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. So if I want to be the one who can actually add collaborators and I don't want the other people to be able to, I can check that. And this one, if I am going to put it out there, I can prevent people from downloading, printing, and copying my document. If I just really want them to be able to look at it, and that is it. Of course, people can screenshot. You always have to remember when you put something public out on the web, there's always a workaround somehow. But so that is it. Those are kind of the sharing options and everything. So I think that'll give you a good understanding. So as you go through these tutorials today, you will kind of know what they're talking about. There's some great ones I've added, like I think the 10 things that teachers should be able to do. Take a look through it. All 10 may not apply to you, but I would say out of those 10, I have used 8 or 9 of them fairly regularly. So definitely take a look at that, because it will give you some ideas on ways to really use this. And since Google Docs is available to our students and our adults in the division, we all have it. It's a great tool to put into your toolbox. Alrighty, have fun, and if there's any questions, make sure you contact your ITRT, and have a fantastic day.